Yeah, 1 2 1 2. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I hope this thing will start glitching up like it did before on the first part. But hopefully you'll be fully edified in the spirit of truth and righteousness. I'm gonna continue part 2 of history of Babylon, and I'm basically going through the history of Abraham and Nimrod. And I said it before I was rudely interrupted by Microsoft. Anyway, I'm going to clear up some things about the dates as far as the China and Chinese or whatever the case is. And I'm going to start at 27th chapter of the book of Jasher. As we're going to read it from the book of Jasher, spelled Jasher. Okay, it's 27th chapter. We're going to start at the first verse. Okay, it reads, and Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went into the field to hunt, and Nimrod, king of Babel, the same was Amraphel. That was the other name he went by. Also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field, and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for a jealousy was formed in his heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. Fourth verse. And on a certain day Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his men. Salakia. And he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men. Fifth verse. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they removed at a distance from him, and they went from him in the different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself for Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. So they already had a jealousy or envy of one another, or didn't like each other, however you want to say it. Okay, and Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day, and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and his 2 men, and Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place, and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head. So that was part of the prophecy that was told both of them. Nimrod told the servant of Nimrod to Nimrod, and it was told to and Abraham was revealed it through the Most High, and he shared that with Shem and Terah, who was his father, and all the rest of them. So this was the prophecy of the egg that we read in part 1. This was it being fulfilled. So let's go to the 8th verse. It reads, and Esau fought a 2 men that were with Nimrod, and when they called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. See? Esau was a killer. That was that prophecy being fulfilled. And all the mighty men of Nimrod who had left him to go to the wilderness heard the cry at a distance, and they knew the voices of those 2 men, and they ran to know the cause of it, when they found their king and the 2 men that were with them lying dead in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land, and he ran and concealed them in his house. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men, and came unto his father's house wearied and exhausted from the fight, and he was ready to die through grief grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him, and said unto his brother Jacob, Behold, I shall die this day. Wherewith then do I want the birthright? So y'all know the story about the birthright in Genesis 25th chapter. So this giving you the background story, what happened, why he came like that. And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this matter, and Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by Yahweh. And Esau's portion in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth for the possession of a burial ground, Esau also sold to Jacob, and Jacob bought all this from his brother Esau for value given. And Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book, and he testified the same with witnesses, and he sealed it, and the book remained in the hands of Jacob. So 15th verse. And when Nimrod the son of Cush died, his men lifted him up and brought him in a consternation, and buried him in his city. And all the days that Nimrod lived were 215 years, and he died. And the days that Nimrod reigned upon the people of the land were 185 years, and Nimrod died by the sword of Esau in shame and contempt. And the seed of Abraham caused his death, as he had seen in his dream. 17th verse. At the death of Nimrod, his kingdom became divided into many divisions, and all those parts that Nimrod reigned over were restored to respective kings of the land, who recovered them after the death of Nimrod. And all the people of the house of Nimrod were for a long time enslaved to all the other kings of the land. So that's it as far as the 27th chapter and about the death of Nimrod. So yeah, that prophecy was fulfilled. The dream he had when he was on his throne, that the seed of Abraham, which was still of Esau put his ass to death. So yeah, man, it was a good story. Exciting. They both was hunters and killers of men. As we can see today, Esau is still a killer. But even though he's of Abraham's seed, but he's the wicked. He represents the evil, the wicked side of us, of Yasha. So, everybody has a role to play, but he's at the end of his rulership. And Hamashiach H.I.S is going to put everything that exalts itself against righteousness, he's going to put it down. Literally, no metaphor. And it's going to start from our land, and it's going to continue through to the land of the north, which is called Babylon, America. And we literally, and this is what this was about, we on the west side of Babylon. This still is part of, technically, Babel, Nimrod's kingdom. Yeah, the west side of it. How about that? So if you go back and remember how the beginning started with Genesis 10 and 25, you know what I'm talking about. So when the earth was divided with a great earthquake, and all the relics prove that, the pyramids and everything in Central and South America. How do you think they got there? So it had to have been giants. So yeah, and the Olmec, and you read this book, they have 4 different Olmecs heads. And yes, these are Hamite. And this is something else I want to clear up while I got you here. This seems like it's going to be shorter than I thought. So let me go through it. Let me stop rambling. Let's go through. I want to clear some of them up too. Or just make edification more so, not clear up, but edification on this. As far as when you read about the Anakims in Numbers 13 and 33, those was the offspring, I'm pulling that up, that's my notes. Those was the offspring of the giants. of Ham. When you read about the Anakims in Numbers 13, Joshua, and other books, those was the offsprings of the giants. So in other words, the giants was way bigger than that. So, and even Nimrod was an offspring of it. He was a bigger version, but he still was an offspring. He was not to be compared with the ones that originally walked, because they were huge. And I'm going to leave another link, and we're going to go into some speaking on this heathen custom. I would really want to wrap that up, because I might leave a link with my old topic with a rebuke of pagan holidays, in case I don't get to cover it over right now. So I might leave a link there. It might come later, so just always look back for it, the link in the description box or the comment box. So I'll leave it over there. But it's something else I wanted to clear up, and I want to give a big, I should have said it in the beginning, but I want to give a big shalom to Elder Yashalaba. He helped me clear things up with the history and the times and dates, as far as the Mongol of the Japanese, the Chinese, which is of Genghis Khan, because we went in that years ago, and he brought it back to my attention. And we basically went over things, iron sharpens iron. He was helping me out a lot, get stuff correct. And I didn't realize, I was kind of excited when I first touched the topic, and didn't realize the mistakes I was making. And let me get this other book just to bring it up, just for edification. Right? Now we're going to about the topic about the Chinese, right? This was their second visit. I didn't say it in the beginning, but y'all should have knew by the dates. This was their second visit to the so-called Americas. Okay, now it's also so this was their second visit. 1421 was their second visit. Okay, and one of the forerunners of that, and this guy made a very mistake. I don't know if it's intentional, but Esau is Esau, so he's gonna lie. But it should have never read like this. It should have never read like this, like saying it was the first. He said the year China. No, it should have said the second visit China came to America. That's what it should have been named. So the cover, the title is off. And what proved that, you already seen the book, because this guy covered different topics in this book. It's right here. Ivan von Sertima. He did a good history lesson. His was published in 1976. But this is a better version, and as far as the dates, it's better. And give you more correct history, even when you deal with the Hamitic. And something I wanted to clear up why I kept reading. It kept saying Negroid, referring to Negroid. And the elder could have to help me out with that when he said the reason why he keeps saying that because he's referring to melanin and people of color, brown color, because Esau was red. So he kept saying anything brown was Negro, which it was, he would confuse color and nationality, but we are way more informed than that at this point. So Esau is just going with what he know of just being a jackass. I don't know, but either way, when you hear that word in this book, Negro, he's referring to people of brown or dark complexion. And that's his way of explaining that. Because I never understood why he kept saying Negro, but the elder helped me out with that one, Elder Yashalaba. And yeah, man, he a year older. Yeah. The elder is like 74 now. Yeah. So, his born day was December 2nd. So, yeah. But anyway, he's doing okay for last I talked to him and, visit him too. So, he's doing okay. But, I wanted to go to page, we're going to go into that real quick in scripture this time. We're going to go in scripture from here on. But I wanted to go into I wanted to read that part in 145. So it's this page, I think it's chapter 9. Yeah, I wanted to read that. See, this was the first time they came and says, when we can trace the progress of man in Mexico without noting any definite old world influence during the period of 1000 to 650 BC, except a strong Negroid substring connected with the magicians. Yeah, so those relics, those pyramids that they were seeing in Central America, and all those different omics, because what I read, they ran into four of them, and one of them was weighing about, what they said, 20 tons, and 20 tons is like 40,000 pounds, and it was like the four different types of omics. So these was idols and basically paganism of the Africans, which they basically looked up to and idolized, which is totally against Exodus 20th chapter in the 3rd and 4th verse. So we know the law, right? So we got to always re-edify that. So, yeah, it's something else I wanted to mention. So, yeah. There's something else I wanted to get into real quick. Yeah, I cleared up about the Chinese. And what else? I cleared up the dates. And I cleared up basically all three of them. So one more thing I want to get into, and I think I basically going to wrap it up after this. Let's go to Genesis 26. We're going to go on scripture now. Genesis 26. No, sorry. Genesis 9th chapter and the 26th verse. Like it. Wow. I'm on